Love mixed martial arts but don't like getting kicked in the head? MMA fans rejoice. UFC 2009 Undisputed is finally here. This is the first UFC game to hit the 360 and PS3, and the graphics and gameplay have been refreshed from the ground up from previous titles. The franchise was in need of a reboot. MMA is a complex sport after all. The stand-up and ground games are exceedingly different, and styles range anywhere from Muay Thai to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Undisputed is the first game to try and really capture all of these complexities, and that's a lot to take on. So how did it fare? Let's step into the octagon and find out. Visually speaking, the game looks really good when you're inside the ring. The character models actually look like the real-life counterparts, which is always a plus. Also, cuts and bruises realistically form as your fighter takes damage. It's a great, brutal touch. However, there are some weird visual glitches. Punches don't always look like they connect, but will still register as a hit. On the same note, the physical reactions are not always great. Guys' hands will fly behind them for no reason, stuff like that. Overall, it's still a pretty game. There are a lot of great modes here to play around with. The training mode is very helpful, and the career mode is well structured. You can spar with guys, go to UFC camp, get new training equipment, get new sponsors. There's always something to do. There's also a great classic fights mode where you can reenact famous fights. If you can pull off certain conditions, you unlock video montages. These conditions are based on what actually happened in the match, so UFC fans are sure to get a kick out of it. The sound effects are also well done. Punches have a good impact behind them, and the commentators are pretty informative.
Nice Superman punch!
But only if two big names are in the ring. It's a little disappointing that it never reaches the super excited levels of an actual UFC match. Now let's get one thing straight. There is a huge learning curve behind this game. I'm not kidding. You'll have to train for hours to get everything down. Luckily, there's a good tutorial, but it only tells you how to play the game. It doesn't tell you anything about the sport itself. If you don't know what a rear naked choke or open guard is, you might be a little lost. Combat is fun, and the core striking feels good. I do like how a lot of the moves and transitions are put on the right stick. The moves change depending on the fighter's style, so there's a lot of diversity in the octagon. However, the main problem is that the game just feels too mechanical. UFC is a very intense and brutal sport. Guys fly around, limbs go everywhere, and it's pretty animalistic when you have one guy just wailing on another. You don't really reach that level of intensity in this game, and that's a big letdown. The game would have benefited greatly if it ran at 60 frames per second. It just doesn't feel as fluid as it should. There's also a problem with flash KOs. They happen way too often. I mean, way too often. The combat is fun, but it just doesn't feel as intense and brutal as a UFC game should. Presentation issues and weird gameplay quirks also hold this game back. It's too bad because it definitely has the potential to be a killer franchise. Hopefully these problems will be ironed out for the next UFC game, and with the 2009 subtitle, you can be sure we'll be getting yearly iterations from here on out. For the full written review, head over to IGN.com.